Hello, everyone. We are live back again. I'm here with Savas Vedova. He's from Gitlab, and he will have an interesting talk about transitioning to remote working. The stage is all yours.
Thanks, Pascal. Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here today. I'm going to talk about my experiences that I did while I was transitioning from a remote-friendly environment to an all-remote company. So today, if the time permits, I'm going to just give a brief introduction about myself, about GitLab, and then our core values and the term all-remote, and then give examples from my first day at GitLab and then a regular day at GitLab. So let's get started. Yeah, I'm Savas Vedova. I'm a senior front-end engineer at GitLab. I started, I think it was back in March, before the lockdown happened. So I'm there for 8 months now. You can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm a very social guy, so please connect with me, and then I'm more than happy to discuss about my experiences even afterwards the presentation. And yeah, I was born in Switzerland, from the in Italian part. I'm doing engineering for 10 years professionally now, but I started when I was 12. I guess that's enough about me. Let's talk about a bit GitLab. GitLab is a software company. Legally, it is based in San Francisco and Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken. And it is a software that is used by developers. It is basically developed by developers for developers. In other words, it's a complete DevOps platform delivered as a single application. We are we're more than 1,200 team members working at GitLab, and we are spread across 66 countries. So GitLab has no physical office at all, and that is actually where the term all remote comes from. So this little map that you see, it displays where our teammates are located. So for instance, here in the middle of Europe, you see my tiny little face. I have teammates in Hawaii, in the United States, in Australia, and in New Zealand. So it's a distributed environment. We are spread across 66 countries and regions. And I think we are covering, if I was not mistaken in counting, we're covering 23 time zones. And fun fact, I Googled it. There are 24 time zones in the world. So the only time zone that we're not covering is, I think, the one between Hawaii and United States. And I guess no one lives there. But yeah, so GitLab is used by more than 30 million users, and it's being used also by more than 100,000 organizations. So the question is, how a company that is this distributed is being so successful? I believe there are two answers for this. One, the product I love the product. It's a cool product, that's for sure. But also the second one is that GitLab was able to build a remote culture that works extremely well. When it started back in 2011, GitLab started as a remote company, and it continued to evolve as a remote company. Now we are, again, we are around 1,300 members, everyone working from home. I believe making this possible, like remote working so efficient, is because we are GitLab is very bound to its own values. So from the moment that the hiring process starts till your end, the last day at GitLab, you are living with these values. So these are collaboration, results, efficiency, diversity, inclusion and belonging, iteration, and transparency. I think, so in my experience, to make remote work effective, there are two key components. One, the the person needs to be self-sufficient. So when we start working, we have no one around us, right? It's only us and our computers. So we have to be able to set up our own computer. We have to be able to set up our own work environment, install the tools, and configure everything. So we need to be self-sufficient. And this is possible thanks, in my opinion, thanks to the transparency value. By transparency, what we mean is that everything that is work related at GitLab is public and is available to everyone. For instance, the meetings, they're recorded and being uploaded to YouTube. Anyone that wants to have an insight over what we're discussing or what we're planning can go to YouTube and then watch the meetings. And they're always there, available for everyone, for the employees and also for the external collaborators. So by being transparent, we also mean that every information is available to everyone, right? So for instance, we discourage Slack conversations, one-to-one Slack conversations, direct messages, because in those occasions, if you're asking your colleague information work-related, and then your colleague replies, that information stays between you and your colleague. It's not available to anyone. So it limits the transparency. For this reason, we encourage our employees or our team to use public channels. And by public channels, we mean GitLab issues. So we use GitLab issues like Task Manager, for instance. So all the information is kept under those issues. So anyone picking up that issue is able to see the information required to complete that task. And by being transparent, we allow our teammates to be self-sufficient. The other key component, in my experience, it's being autonomous. So we don't have anyone next to us that we can discuss synchronously about a feature, for instance. So we have to be able to take our own decisions and proceed with our work. So the core values, results, efficiency, and iteration, in my opinion, they allow us to be autonomous, because we prefer delivering a good product over a perfect product. And by good product, we did do this intentionally. We know that the amount, the level of effort that is required to make something perfect, it's too much. It requires a lot of synchronous communication. It requires a lot of effort. It requires more planning, and we believe that the added value is not it's not worth the effort. So we prefer delivering good product, and we prefer iterating on that. For instance, I can give you the example of bicycle. If we have to deliver a bicycle, we first start by delivering the wheels. We don't wait all the components to be ready to deliver a product, because we know that wheel will be used by users. There will be users already being able to use that feature. So we prefer iterating on that over time. And iteration, it basically allows us to be autonomous, because we say, okay, whenever we have to take a decision, we say, okay, I took this decision, we document it, and we then inform our other colleagues about the decision, and we keep moving on with the feature. And at the end, our team discusses it internally again, and we iterate on that. But but this allows us to be autonomous and keep moving on without being blocked. Because let's go back to our map. So for instance, I'm here in Europe, and I need to communicate with my colleague in Hawaii. It's very difficult to make it work synchronously. So we have to work asynchronously. For this reason, we we work on issues, we document them, we let them know so that whenever they wake up and then start working, they get to know what happened. And meanwhile, we continue with our work. So just to sum up here, transparency, iteration, efficiency, results, they're extremely important for remote working. All our values are important, but for remote working, I believe these four values are required. By transparent, you don't have to be, by the way, a public company, but your employees need to have access to any information that is required at any time that they need. So self-efficiency and autonomous. These are extremely important factors for making remote work possible. To give you an example, my first day at Gitlab, it was a special day. I woke up, I received an email. Normally in a traditional company, you would expect to greet people, meet new people, see new faces. Well, at Gitlab, that was not the case. I woke up, I went in front of my computer, I saw the email, I opened it, and then I clicked on the link on the email, and then I saw a huge task list. So this was on the right side of the screen. You see the task list. It was composed of, I think, more than 230 checkboxes or to do. And it was extremely well documented. So day by day here, you can see, for instance, day one morning, new team member, assign the onboarding issue to yourself by adding yourself to the current team members, or security tasks. Here, for instance, I was guided through the security trainings. And when you click on the links, there is more information there. Or there is information on how to set up 1Password, Okta. And day by day, for 2 weeks at least, we had this walkthrough, which was extremely helpful. I met my teammates. I think it took for me a couple of weeks or 3 weeks to meet all of them because of this asynchronous work. I think it was the second day, that I met my first colleague at Gitlab over a coffee chat. So that was an extremely new way of onboarding for me. But what really worked was that it was transparent. So all the information that I needed was there, available to me, and it was very well documented. I think I have 2 or 3 more minutes, so we're perfectly fine with the time. I'd like to discuss or tell you or mention you how I perceive remote working and how my day looks like. So I believe that remote work is very personal. Everyone experiences it differently, especially if you have flexible working hours. So some people, for instance, they prefer working from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Some people prefer working over the night. Some people are morning people. So it is, if you have a flexible work environment and a remote work environment, it allows the people to adopt the best routine they can have. For instance, I am very productive in the mornings, and therefore I wake up around 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And I think it's also worth to mention that since I joined Gitlab, I'm not using alarms anymore. So I wake up very fresh because it's my biological clock, right? So during the day, I'm also very fresh. And I start working in the morning. It usually until 2 or 3 o'clock, I manage to stay, to have focused time and stay focused on work. And then I go to swim during the day and spend time with my family. And also during the evenings, I am productive. So I prefer working, completing the leftovers in the evening. For instance, I try to schedule my meetings in my evening time so that I can because I am more productive in the mornings. I prefer having my meetings during the evening. But this is extremely flexible. I mean, it works for me. It may not work for someone else. So the best part of remote working and having an asynchronous communication, so the one that I mentioned before, is that it allows us to choose our routine. Apart from this, I think I should mention that so when you're so I hear a lot of people talking about remote work and how it doesn't work for them and how they miss the office environment. So first thing I think that is worth to mention, remote work, it doesn't mean that because something is working for some people, it has to work for everyone. So this is a fact. You have to have it in your character, because you're working in an isolated environment. You don't have much social interaction, so you have to create your own social life, right? I prefer working from home in the morning, but then in the afternoon when I work, for instance, from 12 to 2 o'clock, I prefer to go to a cafe and then see people around, and that makes me happy. So it is up to you to make it more efficient. And it is also up a lot to the company by being transparent and allowing people to be more asynchronous. So it's kind of, you have to have both in order to make remote work efficient. Yeah, I think that was it. Thanks for listening. This was, so it was a different experience for me. I'm talking to a computer right now. I don't see your faces. So I hope it was a nice talk, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I guess we can have questions now.
All right. Thanks, Savas, for the presentation. Nice picture, actually, at the end of the presentation with the monkey.
Glad that you like it. Shall I stop sharing?
Yeah, you can stop.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I mean, I can totally relate what you were saying about the remote working. I also started at TX Markets 4 months ago, and I haven't met all of my colleagues yet, but that's just how it is right now with the circumstances. Yeah. There is one question from Michael about transparency. I just read it. What should be the minimum of transparency in a company for remote work to work nicely? For example, which meetings should be made public and which not?
That's a very good question. At Gitlab, we are public by default. It means that unless we reveal client names or confidential data, and here confidential data is mostly about clients, we are public. So we, but this is also because GitLab is an open source company, so it has to collaborate with contributors from all over the world. We choose to be public this way. But in a case that of a close source company, for instance, I think the information should be available to all employees anyways, and it should be public by default, because having insights on the company, I think it helps a lot for the employees as well.
All right, great. So let me quickly check. I think if there's not any more questions, we can wrap it up in time. So perfect. Thanks again, Savas, for presenting. Next up is a topic about return on failure. How to turn a mistake into a resource by Jutta Gitlab. We will be back in about 5 minutes. Stay tuned.
All right.